Of course you have to knead bread, Jeff. Don't be stupid all your life. I hadn't been paying much attention to the conversations taking place over the dinner table, partly because they were all about food and drink, neither of which I was interested in. It was the same every time I came, the same people droning on about en croûte this, au gratin that, frothing at the mouth as they forced foie gras down their fatty gullets as though it was the only thing worth damn eating. Jeff was the only one I liked, and I didn't even know him, but I knew his type. Trying to be invisible in the hope everyone would forget he was there, forcing a smile now and then to show he was listening, only chipping into the conversation when absolutely necessary. I knew what he was going through. I felt the same every time my sister Lily invited me over, in the vain hope that I might hook up with her best friend Isabel, who by her own admission was on the lookout for a husband. "I'm looking for a man with taste and money," she'd declare halfway through the ensalada de gambas. I only came along because she was my sister, loyally supporting her quest for culinary recognition among her foodie friends, turning up every 3 months with a crate of champagne and a bag of fresh prawns, on the condition I could leave after dessert, or preferably before. "But how about Isabel?" she would then complain, half drunk, when I made a dash for the door after the chocolate tort. "She likes you so much. Why don't you stay a bit longer, have a drink, get to know one another?" I then remind her that I was in fact gay, only for her to insist it was just a phase I was going through, which I'd eventually grow out of. I then reassure her that it wasn't a phase, as I was actually 46, not 16. Then say goodbye and walk home, wondering what planet my dear little sister lived on these days. Jeff was Sandra's new boyfriend. That was all I knew about him. 2 months ago at the last dinner party, she'd been with somebody else, John, or Sammy. 2 months before, somebody else. In fact, now I think about it, there was a different man every time. They were probably from an agency. Jeff, however, wasn't agency type. For one, he looked human, and secondly, he looked bored out of his mind, which was probably why he kept looking at the door, wondering how long this would go on for. He'd been talking to Greg Peels, a graphic designer from Brighton, when the bread incident took place. Greg had been explaining to Jeff about his new fandangle bread machine he'd bought from California, which used a series of tongs and paddles to fold and knead the bread to create an artisan loaf. And certainly not Sandra, who attempted to defuse the situation by humiliating her boyfriend. Jeff pretended to laugh it off and went back to his gambas, but I knew Jeff was absolutely livid, fuming behind his ensalada like a red-hot ember, and I was pretty sure he was about to walk out at any minute. Instead, he did something else, something so unexpected. I still think about it to this day. He stood up and violently clinked his glass with his knife. Everybody stopped talking immediately, even Sandra, who'd spent most of the evening chewing the ear off a deep-sea diver, who luckily for him was practically deaf after a diving accident. The room went silent. Even the supermarket jazz on the stereo had gone miraculously quiet. Everybody was wide-eyed in anticipation. Was he going to propose? He's going to pop the questions in front of his friends. What a man! Not a chance in hell, I thought. If Jeff proposes to Sandra now, I'll step in first and marry her myself. I was that confident. This wasn't going to be a proposal. This was going to be a demolition. Something I'd been waiting for these events for years. And now it was about to start, and I had a front row seat. "I'd just like to thank Lily for inviting us to dinner," Jeff began. Everybody smiled. "But that's as far as the gratitude goes." A mild titter went round the room. "I can't remember having such an awful evening," Jeff continued. "I mean really awful." A sharp inhalation. "Oh, you think I'm joking?" he continued. A slight murmur. Somebody let out a snigger. "Okay, let's get down to it," he said, as though starting some incredibly boring seminar. "For starters, no pun intended, the food looked good but tasted like wrapping paper." "I mean, where did you buy it from, Lily? I mean, really? Homemade food? My ass. Pre-packed from an upmarket delicatessen is my bet. You can tell by the gelatin they put in it, love. Keep it firm. No freshness about it. It tastes okay, but it's not real. There's no labour, no intensity behind it, no thought or guile. produced for presentation only, like plastic fruit in a window display. I looked around the room. Nobody was sure whether Jeff was being real or sarcastic or was just incredibly pissed. But he continued anyway. It's like your lives, like Sandra here. She looks good, great presentation, nice tits, hair, makeup and so forth. But is she nice? You heard her. Don't be stupid all your life. That's what she said to me. Nice, isn't it? And my girlfriend as well. And I suppose you all thought I was standing up to ask her to marry me. I mean, come on. Seriously. This guy was brilliant, I thought. What a guy. Sandra's eyes looked as though they were about to fall out of their sockets and roll under the table. I clocked you all the moment I walked in, Jeff continued. You think you're all in control of your lives, the job, the house, the wife, the boyfriend, the phone, the car, the posh food, the nice clothes, when really you're just turds floating around in the U-bend. And the thing is, you know it. Just like the food, it's totally tasteless, but you go on eating it all the same because it looks nice, and you don't want to offend anybody. Sorry people, sorry Lily, but that's the truth. He paused. Everybody was waiting for more, I could tell. Perhaps they were enjoying it, like me. That's all I got to say, really, Jeff said. Now, I'm going to leave. And with that, he headed to the door. I felt like applauding, asking for an encore. I had seen many people lose their temper, say the wrong things, but I had never seen someone so calmly publicly destroy 9 other people in a room. I couldn't imagine a mafia boss or dictator doing that. I was proud of him, and I didn't even know him. No one moved, no one spoke, so I quickly left and followed Jeff out onto the street. Wow, I said to him once we were outside the front door. That was a performance. I'm Lily's brother, by the way. I don't think we were properly introduced, I said, shaking his hand. Pleased to meet you, he said. I'm Jeff, Sandra's boyfriend. I gathered that, I replied. Then he corrected himself. Was. I suspect so, I said. I didn't mean to be rude, you're being Lily's brother and that. I'm sorry. But it just came out. I'm not sure what happened. I just couldn't stand it any longer. I burst out laughing. Don't worry, Jeff. You're brilliant. Best thing I've seen in years. Should have recorded it. It would have been priceless. Modern day antique worth millions. He smiled, but he didn't look too happy. Jeff, you said it how it was. She's my sister, I know, and she's a bit fucked up with all the cooking and stuff. But you told the truth, and you can't help yourself for that. I suppose so, he accepted. Thank you, sister, anyway, for inviting me, for what it's worth. She'll be okay. Might make a bit of sense into her. You meant it, didn't you? I mean, what you said. Oh, yeah. I fucking hate prawn cocktail. I laughed. Me too. But no, I mean the bread, I continued. That you don't need actually to knead it. Oh, yeah. Everybody thinks you just have to knead it, but you don't. You just mix it in a bowl and leave it for a day or two. The longer the better. It's called patience, actually. People don't have it these days, especially when it comes to cooking. You're a chef, aren't you? I enthused. You must be. He looked at me funnily, his head tilted to one side. For a minute, I wasn't sure he was looking at me or at something behind me. You're okay? I asked. Yeah, fine, he said. I'm fine. Sorry to pry, it's not my business, I know. Jeff shrugged. It's okay. Just one thing though, do I look like a chef? I wasn't sure what to say. What does a chef look like? Some are fat, some are thin. Jeff wasn't really either. He had a slight paunch, but so did I. No, you don't, I replied. Good, he said. I fucking hate chefs. And with that, he walked off, and I never saw him again.